You guys, so I want to get into this word. It is so good. This is going to be a blessing. It's going to cause you to rise and shine. Hallelujah. So we're going to get into the Shunammite woman. It is in 2 Kings chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 8. So this woman, she's old. Her husband is old. She doesn't have a child. This man of God comes into her hometown regularly, okay? And she said, wait, hold on. I perceive. Look, my woman intuition is kicking in. This is a man of God. This is not a regular man. She goes to her husband. She says, husband, let me tell you something. We need to prepare a place for him. We need to cover this man of God. Yes, I see this a man of God. I'm going to cover him. And so she puts a place all together, her and her husband, with a table, a bed, and a lampstand, a place of light, a place of rest, and a place where he can settle down. There you go. And guess what her name means? Double rest. God is giving you guys double rest today. Okay. So anyway, the man is like, oh my gosh, this woman is treating me so good. He goes to his servant Gehazi. He's like, what can I do for her? So the servant's like, okay, her husband is old, but guess what? She don't have no children. So the man of God tells her, look, you going to have a child next year around this time. So she's like, oh, man of God, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. I can't take it. Like, my whole life I've been waiting for a child. I'm barren. Like, look, the stigma attached to not having children is too great. Like, the mental illness I had to deal with, not receiving a promise and believing God. Like, I can't deal with that, Lord. So the man of God word was true. So the next year she has a child and she's old. So let me tell y'all something. Just because you're getting older or just because it seemed like God gave you a word, he didn't bring it to pass, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It is going to happen, but it got to be in God's time and not your timing. He knows what he's doing. Sit down and be quiet. Shut up. Let God do his work. And you stop trying to do God's work, okay? Just prepare for it because that's what she did. She didn't know what was going on, but she said, look, this man got a blessing for me, so I'm going to prepare. You know what I mean? I'm going to light that candle, right? I'm going to be a double rest for the man of God, which meant that she was being a double rest for God. So then the man of God did what he did. He went on about his merry way. So then one day the son goes to the father. So he, of course, the blessing, grew up, did what it was supposed to do. But one day the blessing's head started hurting. Oh my gosh, the headache was so severe, like a hemorrhagic stroke. A hemorrhagic stroke is like when you got this severe headache. It's like abnormal. And that means it's like bleeding on the brain. And that's like the worst stroke you could ever have. Okay. You got to get a CT scan for that. But let's move on. So then we're going to keep going on. So then the child dies on her knees because the husband gives the son to her. The child dies on her knees. She takes that baby, right? Her son, because that's her baby. She puts him on a man of God's bed. Come on now. She takes him to the upper room. That's where the room was that she created for him. Upper room is a place of prayer. Y'all don't know that? Upper room in the Bible, place of prayer. She puts that baby in a place of prayer, a place where God speaks, okay? A place outside of the norm where that man of God was resting every day. And then she goes to the man of God. She falls at his feet. And then the man of God servant's like, psh, get away from the man of God. You see the devil trying to block her blessing? Y'all, when God is trying to bless you, Satan going to try to block you. That's not a time for you to turn around. That's a time for you to fight for that blessing. You know what God promised you. You don't let nothing. You hold on. She had to look. Just like the virtuous woman. When she came to Jesus, it was the disciples trying to block her. Nah, you got to be careful. You know what I mean? Not to listen to the negativity from other people. Not to allow the blocks that's going to come up against you when you're trying to revive that thing that God has given you, that thing that he's promised you. Because sometimes along the way, God can promise you something and it can die because a seed has to die. In order for it to be better, to be bigger, to be ginormous than what it was before, it has to die. Come on now. Everybody holding on to all these seeds. Nobody planting into the ground. You getting happy over the word God gave you, but you got to plant it into a ground where it can die so it can produce roots, meaning it could be stable. It can come out, go from a flower to fruit. Because before a fruit can become fruit, it has to be a seed first. The seed has to take on roots. The root has to become a flower, and the flower has to become fruit. And that's what her son was going to be for her. So the man of God tells his servant, here, take my staff, put it on the child's head. And Gehazi came back. He's like, nah, ain't nothing happened. So then the man of God goes to the child. He puts his eyes on the child's eyes, because he's telling the child, you going to see. He puts his hands on the child's hands. He said, you going to get up, and you going to rise up, and you going to lift up your hands. You going to lift up your hope, and you going to know that it's God that brought you into this world, not yourself. And then he puts his whole body on this child, right? And then the child sneezed 7 times. Y'all, do y'all know what the number 7 means? It's a day of rest. It's a day of rest. All that the man of God was doing was trying to get us, God was trying to get us to know that you cannot look at your situation in your own mindset. You got to look at God. Even the man of God was having faith concerning the word of God, because at first when a woman came to him, it was hidden from him. You know what I mean? Because the man of God, he has to find you know what I mean, his own ability to have faith in God. He telling her something, and then, he also has to believe God for that. He's struggling too. He's also struggling to believe what God has to say. So God didn't just miraculously show him what was going on. You know what I mean? He has to have faith. He has to trust God too in the whole process. So just know that whoever you're taking care of, you have to prepare for it. You got to prepare a place for it. You got to cover it, right? You got to put it in a place where it can't be harmed. And you got to know there's always going to be something that's going to try to block it. But you got to take care of it. Anything God promised you, you got to take care of it. And you have to know that just because God promised you something doesn't mean that it won't die. But just because it died doesn't mean that it can't be revived. Because once it's revived, it's going to be something greater. Okay? Because it's a double rest. All right? This is something that God is doing. It's not something that you're doing. It's something that God is doing. So you got to take your hands off of it. Take your mindset off of it and trust God. So let's look at those scriptures. I don't know if you guys can see it, because my phone, I'm seeing all my little blings dingling on my Bible, like the reflection. See how he laid? Yup. Okay. And he called Gehazi and said, call this Shunammite woman. So he called her, and when she came in to him, he said, pick up your son. So she went and fell at his feet and bowed to the ground. Then she picked up her son and went out. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all trust God. Trust God. Your situation is not dead. All right? Where's your faith at? Everybody in this Bible right here that received a blessing from God walked miles to get to Jesus. They did everything that they could possibly do to make sure that they received their blessing, whether they were walking with God or wasn't walking with God. It was their faith. Where's your faith at today? Where's your hope at today? Okay, this is the word that God is giving you. Don't stop preparing. Don't stop seeking. Don't stop asking. Don't stop knocking. Don't stop believing God. Okay? This is your season. It's your time. Yeah, it might look like your situation has gotten old. It might look like God is not going to come through for you, but he is. And when he does come through for you, don't think that blessing is not going to be attacked. That's all I'm saying. See what she said? When she first saw him, she said, it is well. Even her husband was struggling. Look right there. When she told the son to get the young man to prepare the donkeys, the husband is like, well, it ain't the Sabbath, nor the new moon. But how many times did her son sneeze? 7 times. It was her Sabbath. It was her day of rest. Because you know what? Jesus is her day of rest. Jesus is the Sabbath. He said, take my yoke, what? Upon you, and I will give you rest. All right, you guys, have a good one.